Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. This is our weekly show where we discuss issues related to women. There can be issues regarding women health, there can be issues regarding to domestic abuse, laws that help women, and of course laws that don't help women, domestic abuse, as I said earlier, body shaming, a whole lot of conversation around women, financial independence, marriages, institutions. So here is a conversation where women can come, discuss, maybe learn some things, nothing else, at least find support and sympathy and an ear that listens. Joining me on the show today of course the topic is menstrual health. We are discussing women's reproductive health, issues related to the women's body, and of course menstruation is a huge part of that. Joining me on the show today, I have with me Madan Mohit Bhardwaj. He is the founder of She Wings Healthcare Private Limited and has done a lot of work regarding menstrual care, menstrual hygiene, making people aware of what is a good menstrual practices, and also distributes menstrual pads all over the country. So he's someone who is very happy to have back on the show. We have Rachna Gupta. She is the co-founder at Gynoveda. Gynoveda is the world's first femtech company that combines technology and Ayurveda. And it's interesting because both Rachna and Madan were did not really start with this, but this is something they picked up, realizing that there is a gap, there is an awareness and a need for women's health. This thing, and Rachna's company in fact uses Ayurvedic techniques to take care of everything, you know, from PCOS, menstrual disorders, irregular periods, and so on and so forth. I'm going to let her tell us what she does. And also on the show is Dr. Anuradha Khurana. She is an MBBS and a DGO. She's a gynecologist who practices in the capital. Rachna, first I'll begin with you. First, can you just tell us exactly what your company does and, you know, a little bit about the solutions that offers, why Ayurvedic solutions for women's health problems?
Thanks for having me over, Priya. I think it's important that we discuss this, and given the fact that on 28th of May we recently celebrated the Menstrual Hygiene Day. So Gynoveda is the world's first Ayurveda femtech company, and femtech stands for feminine technology.
Okay.
We are focused on menstrual and reproductive health of women right from the age of 15, when a young girl gets her first period, which is known as menarche, until the age of 55 when a woman gets her last period, which is menopause. I think it was important for somebody to change the whole narrative of how the menstrual and reproductive health is looked at in India. I think right from a young age, especially Indian girls, we are conditioned to believe that, you know, it's okay to have period problems. You know, your periods can skip over you know, some months. It's okay to deal with period pain. And I think somewhere down the line, you know, that was bothering me, and that narrative had to be changed. That coupled with the fact that my husband, who is also my co-founder, he had battled with a very intense autoimmune disorder for a very long time frame. And he found miraculous relief in Ayurveda. So my advocacy for women's health and his passion and deep understanding of Ayurveda, we combined the two and started up Gynoveda, and then brought on board our third partner, Dr. Aarti Patil, who is an MD Ayurveda gynecologist. So today we have Ayurvedic supplements for women from puberty to menopause. It is irregular periods, PCOS, vaginal discharge, women who are finding it difficult to conceive, and general wellness. So focusing on internal health and healthy inside out.
Okay, I'm going to discuss more with you in detail. But Dr. Anuradha, you know, in terms of women's health problems, are women now at least becoming more forthcoming when they come to you? Do they talk more? Are they still very reticent?
No, see, in the city like Delhi, people are more aware and are coming up with small issues, maybe pain during periods, to discuss whether it is normal or not. So they are coming up in city like Delhi. It is obviously more approachable and people are aware. But I believe in rural areas still the condition has not improved. There the people don't come up, they are shy about it, they are told about the taboos about it, so they are not that aware.
But what are the tips you would give to a menstruating girl, you know, first time? Are there some do's and don'ts that you give?
Yes, we do give first thing that they should not be afraid of this, that something bad is happening with them, or this bleeding is bad, or some infective thing. This is a very normal bleeding, and they should be proud of it, that they are growing up, they are growing elder, they are going to be elder women. So first thing is to encourage them. Then we advise them to use pads, this menstrual cups or tampon, whichever they feel is comfortable, how to use them, how many times it should be changed. It should be changed every 6 to 8 hours depending on their bleeding, and they should wash hands before using these products and wash their hands after using the products so that they don't spread infection. And how to dispose them off. To dispose them off, they should cover it with a newspaper or they should use a poly bag or some bag to throw them off.
पर lot of लड़कियां पूछती हैं कि हम छुट्टी ले लें on these days, lot of schools भी नहीं जाते हैं लोग.
See, I usually advise them to go to school or to work.
Anything strenuous? No.
Yes, they can. They can do everything they want, but it should be about their comfortability. If they are comfortable, yes, they should go.
Madan, you've been also doing a lot of good work. We've had you on the show before also. And Madan's story, if I share with you, he was a journalist who actually went to rural areas and he found out the lack of awareness, the lack of access to sanitary pads. And then he actually set up his own company to do work like that. So, anything that you would, tell us what you've been doing since we last met?
Yeah, so, I mean, I would say, India News Foundation also doing great work. We had worked together. It's been more than 10 years. We have reached out to more than 30 million women across the country for
ITV
Menstrual
Foundation.
Hygiene, ITV Foundation. And on this show in Mumbai also, we had discussed that during, these reaching out to more than 30 million women across the country, we realized there is a lot of, time to time, there is a lot of need required. Like earlier, there was no use of sanitary pad. Now there are a lot of sanitary pad, but the problem is the sanitary waste. Sanitary waste management is going to be a problem for the entire world. The, UN from governments, they all are worried about it because the women disposes 380 kilogram of sanitary waste in their lifetime. Now, our company, Shiving's Personal Care, what we have done an innovation which is first in the world. We realize now the girls are starting their periods at the age of 11 and 12, number one. And while doing these research and innovation, what we realized, a 12-year-old girl child, she never uses the same face cream and face shampoo which a 45-year-old mother uses. Their face creams are different. Their face shampoo brands are different. Their lingerie brands are different. But they're being forced to use same sanitary product. If we look at the menstrual hygiene's 5 days, like the period's 5 days, each day has a different, reaction to your body, number one. Each girl has a different, they have a different sort of a periods, Like one will have a heavy bleeding, another one will have a very medium bleeding. So what we have done an innovation is somebody who is 12 or 13-year-old, their skin requires a different product. So Shivings has launched the world's first minor-friendly sanitary pad. And when it comes to the women's body, if you see, during the 5 days, even the flow, mood, skin, they all are different. So why they were being forced to use the same product? Now we have uses 100% viscose. The madam is there, she's a gynecologist. You see, plastic plays a very, I would say, adverse role in your reproductive system. 10 out of 7 girls these days in my family, in your, in your neighborhood, they go through PCOD, ovarian cyst, UTI, infertility.
Right.
This is because we are using harmful product which is made of 100% PP, plastic. So, the now innovation is something which our personal care or healthcare industry needs. Now we can't go with these young girls who are, who knows everything. They have internet. So girls are more educated, they're more aware. It's not about hygiene. What product they are using and what are going to be the repercussion of the product. It is more important because using 20 years for this, then you're going for an infertility treatment.
Yeah.
We need to have a cure
Stop
first.
it at first. So you just be awareness, I think, is very important.
Very, very important.
And Rashna, I was reading at your website also that, Ayurvedic also, why it stands out from other, the normal allopathic disease, that you offer cures, not just, a temporary stop to pain. A little bit more and, relating to menstrual health, relating to vaginal health. Vaginal health is something that I would also like you to talk about.
Yeah, I think one of the big difference between Ayurveda and the modern medicine is the fact that modern medicine focuses more on symptomatic relief. It also, I think, somewhere ingrains into our head that, you have to manage with this problem lifelong. Because ये कभी ठीक नहीं हो सकता. The fundamental premise of Ayurveda is about root cause solution. It takes time. you need patience, you need positivity, but it's definitely going to show you results. So I think it's more long lasting, it's more sustained as compared to what some of the other lines of treatment have. And not just when it comes to irregular periods or PCOS, and I'll just talk a little bit about that before we jump into vaginal discharge. Statistics indicates that 1 in 5 women in India today have PCOS. And the reasons are attributed to, a dietary, lifestyle changes that they need to do, stress and genetic. While that could be true, but what it doesn't tell you is that this can get naturally reversed. And at Gynoveda, we are extremely grateful that we've had the opportunity to have more than, at this point of time, over 1 lakh women who had suffered through PCOS, tried various kind of treatment options, whether it is contraceptive pills, the harmful hormonal injections, hormonal pills, and then came to Ayurveda as the last resort. And today, over 6 months to 9 months of consumption of the Gynoveda Ayurvedic supplements, they have been not just treated of PCOS, but I think they are back to being the best version of themselves. And the other point that Priya, you rightly brought out, which is vaginal health. I think it's extremely under-leveraged, under-addressed. There are tons of women out there across different metros of India who still don't know how to track ovulation. They don't know that at the time of ovulation, if you have a transparent mucus kind of a discharge, it's a healthy discharge. So I think nowhere in our schools or even in our social conversations do we talk about how to distinguish between what is a good vaginal discharge and what is not. And so the fear of not coming out in the open, and sometimes we don't even talk about it to our best friends or our mothers or our sisters because there is this fear of being judged. And I think that is what needs to change, is enabling women to not just take charge of their health, but also come out and seek help and find the right solutions.
With conversations like this, I hope, creating awareness is something that we're all doing. But doctor, are there certain lifestyle changes you would, she's saying, how many people have PCOS?
1 in 5 women
1
in
in
India.
5. So
Yes.
is it hereditary? Is it because of lifestyle? Is it?
It is more of a lifestyle, I would say, because from a young age nowadays, everything is so accessible. They are on chips, they are on cold drinks, they are on all junk foods. Because of maybe in these cities, the houses have become small, girls and all the kids cannot play. So activity level is also less. So this leads to obesity, this leads to PCOS. The lifestyle changes plays a major part.
Would you, she says, of course, which is the thing that allopathy just, covers the root of the problem is more like an Ayurvedic or something. So, but are there any good lifestyle tips that you would say? Not lifestyle, but food tips like haldi,
Taking healthy food, avoid junk foods, avoid high calorie food, be active. Like nowadays we are going for 10,000 steps a day, active lifestyle and healthy lifestyle. Sleep pattern should be proper.
And a lot of myths are like, if you have a child early, then it helps your reproductive cycle versus delaying having a child. Does that have impact on your overall health?
No, this does not have it. There are some conditions like endometriosis. We advise if you have a childbirth early, so it helps in curing that situation. There are some situation in which we advise, otherwise it is not.
Madanji, is there anything that you would like to add to, when you go and meet the women and people there? Wahan par to they're just basics. You're looking after really the, the logistics of it. Do they have access to sanitary waste? Do they know how to dispose of it? But do you also have doctors going and advising them?
Yeah, so we have entire sort of gynecologists and trainers. Who our team is in Bahraich today and Dudhwa, Lakhimpur Kheri. They are there today also. In some of the areas in India, we have, as we had discussed also earlier on the show, that women do not have access to, some women denied taking our sanitary pads, and they said we will not take this. So they were being shy to tell us the reason, but we asked the local Anganwadi Karyakarta and the local A&M there. So the one woman said, we are 5 women in a family, and out of 5 women, like 4 daughters and 1 me, and out of 5, we only have 3 undergarments in our house. How do we use sanitary pad? Where do we put sanitary pad? We don't have undergarments. So situation is that, and also I believe the undergarments is a very essential part of someone's hygiene. So we are working on this part also. A very important fact which I would like to bring here, while doing this minor-friendly research, we came out to to the women who are into menopause phase. Now there are two things. We have lot of more than 100 doctors has we have taken a feedback from them. Women in their 45 or 50, when they come in 45 and 50, now out of 10, 4 women have a urinary leakage problem. And urinary leakage problem in India is a very, very common and fastest growing problem. The reason is simply because in the Indian mentality or in our houses, it is being told that you need to go for a normal delivery.
Yeah.
So doctors say, parents says, we always wanted to have a normal delivery. When a woman is being forced to have, or to persuade to have a normal delivery, she need to put a lot of pressure. She need to push, and the tissue becomes weak. When the tissues becomes weak, there is urinary leakage. In India, there is no brand which makes a product called urinary pads. So Shivings is bringing urinary pads also, which is for a urine leakage. And urine is something, either a UTI or urine leakage. The lifestyle shall be very, very important. When you are, turning 30 or post 30, you need to entirely change your lifestyle, food, your sleeping patterns. In every 10 years, we need to change in our food patterns and lifestyle.
That is true. I'm going to take a break and pick up from what Madan has said, quite a few important points that I would like to discuss with the panelists about UTI, about urinary leakage, about menopause after a quick break. Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. Today we are here discussing women's health, women's reproductive health, menstrual health. But UTI is something that I think every woman, it's the silent sufferer. You just have to suffer in silence. Sometimes you don't talk about it. Do you have cures for that, solutions for that?
Absolutely. Like Madan rightly pointed out, I think it all boils down to lack of awareness. To really know that, what is your body telling you time and again. So I think at Gynoveda for us, one part is obviously the natural, without any side effects, herbal ingredients through the Ayurveda medicine system. The other big part, and I think right from the beginning of our journey, what we focused on is educating women. How do you understand that what's going on inside your body is mild, moderate or severe? And if you see, a lot of times women tend to attribute it saying that, I've used probably not a very hygienic washroom. But what they need to understand is there is a lot of thing which is internal in your system, in your reproductive system, which needs to get corrected. So one, bringing in more education and awareness amongst women. Second, giving them a safe space to talk about it, and a space which is a lot more non-judgmental, which is a lot more non-intrusive.
What would you suggest for UTI? Do you have some herbs, some tips that you can share with us?
Yes. So I think first and foremost, how do you maintain vaginal cleanliness and hygiene? Health? I think that is extremely important. Secondly, there are...
How do you do it?
So you need to just clean it with plain water, unless, there is a lot of myth again there saying that you need to clean it with soap and there has to be more,
but
foaming
all these pH,
soaps.
It changes. With soap and all these washes, the pH changes. So it should not be used regularly. Maybe once a day, but usually it should not be used. It should be cleaned only with water. And especially there is again a myth, the vagina should not be cleaned. It is only the outer vulva should be cleaned. Never vagina cleans itself.
Okay. So that's a very important point. Also, we get a lot of these on the market, a lot of
brand and advisors.
Lactil, whatever for vagina. Yeah, would you recommend those?
Usually we don't recommend. That's what I'm saying. When they are used, when they are used in excess, it is, vagina itself has a normal bacteria flora. When you're using much of these products, it is changing the pH and it is killing the normal bacteria. This normal bacteria is fighting with the other bacteria which can cause infection. And if we are going to use this washes and kill the normal bacteria, the other harmful bacteria will grow and cause infection.
Okay.
So it should not be used.
And just to add to that, because you need to have something which is extremely moderate in terms of what you are going to apply to the vagina. I think we realized this early on after speaking to thousands of women in our interactions that they still use a lot of panty liners, they still use a lot of vaginal washes. Yes, and the whole toxicity that gets added to your system, which is why we felt the need to launch India's first Ayurvedic Triphala based range of intimate washes. And we said that not one size fits all.
Right.
So what's going to be working for a menopausal woman, like the way Madan rightly pointed out, is going to be very different from a young girl in her teenage who's just started menarche, who's dealing with issues of, whole body shaming and coming to terms with the fact that her body is going through a lot of hormonal changes. We launched about 5 different intimate washes. It has Triphala. And if you see, originally Triphala in Ayurveda is considered to be something that you consume and it's a digestible. But we also realized that Triphala as a herb, it's actually a goddess of herbs. And it can be used in several ways and it can have different functionalities. So I think a balanced approach towards knowing what you are consuming, what you are using, and then actually using it is what I would recommend to all women.
But hormone, again, imbalance, as she said, is also something that a lot of women are facing and must be coming to you with a lot of problems relating to that. Is there some just generic tip you can tell people?
That is again related to the lifestyle and the stress. That's what we have talked about. The lifestyle changes, the junk food, the obesity, less of activity, less of sleep, more of stress because of work, emotional. This is causing the hormone imbalance much. So we should be taking care of all those things.
In that. Again, vaginal health is something that Rachna had raised. Are there anything,
Yes, she has given a good input, but I would just add on that after every toilet visit, one should dry it off. They are just cleaning with the water, they are not drying it off. It should be dried off. When the water remains there, it will cause infection.
Okay.
So it should be dried off.
Okay, so that's a good, just I think basic everyday tips that we need
But
to.
this, because of the lifestyle and because of the working style in a hurry, usually people don't go for it.
Okay, yeah, that's very important. Again, issues that you are dealing with in terms of not just this thing, but menopause also you had raised. Do you help educate women on menopause?
Priyaji, I want to tell all the viewers who are watching India's most popular show, We Women Want.
Thank you.
The first thing is knowledge is very, very important now, because all the girls or women who uses internet for the information, please don't go on internet. The gynec also suggests before you enter in their room, please leave out your internet information. Because more and more women are working these days. Women empowerment is incomplete without a good women health, good personal hygiene health, and that's the barrier. A poor menstrual health is a barrier to women empowerment. A woman, either she's a domestic help or anyone, she'll take 4 or 5 days leave every month if she's not keeping her mind and body well. So first thing is, even if you have anyone around your family, maybe you can start charity, or I would say you can start this feeling of goodness within your house, around the house or society. Please take care of your women health, your personal hygiene, and 75%, still 70, we are in 2023. We started this campaign. In fact, Government of India started a very focused campaign from 2014. Still there are 75% women in India who don't have access to sanitary product. 75% women. And the consumer, if you look at the brand and the advertisers, they have a very, they have made a very different perception about the product. They are selling out a product, right? They are not doing any charity. So the consumer need to be very aware that which product need to be used, which not to be used. So whatever I would say, women who are going into menopause, they need to be very, very careful, because then there is a set of mood and lot of behavioral changes comes out. So if you have a certain or a gynecologist or a doctor, you please visit them rather than asking the information or taking information from the internet, because sometimes this information is toxic. Information has become problem.
So half-baked information is not necessary. But there's also something that occurred to me that I just recalled, is also a lot of women complain, a lot of problems are related to whether you're acidic or alkaline. That a lot of us are acidic without realizing it, or so if you have any cures for that, and B, is there some do's and don'ts, like don't have certain kinds of foods, of course oil based, wo sab to pata hai, but some things that you both can tell us.
Like for menopause, it would be preferable to take more of protein, more of calcium rich food and soya bean. It helps in this when the estrogen goes level low.
Okay.
So these things help in maybe replace a little of estrogen which is not there.
But do you have something to improve, make your body more alkaline, or to redress the balance rather?
Yeah, so I think in Ayurveda, the whole medicine system rests on 2 pillars. One is called Shuddhi, which is detoxification. And
Okay.
actually, that is the one that plays a very big role in the entire acidic blood turning alkaline. And why has acidic blood happened in the first place? Like Dr. rightly pointed out, it's, excessive intake of packaged food, maybe not following specific food habits during the day, eating at irregular times, and digestion. I think the entire thing is, we
Gut health.
always focus on what we are eating. We don't focus on how well is the food getting digested. In fact, in Ayurveda, even PCOS is attributed because of excessive ama, which is called as toxins, which gets accumulated and it creates polycystic, poly means many. Many cysts gets created in the ovaries. So some herbs, again, back to Triphala. Shatavari, as we all know, has been, something which has been historically written in our scriptures, which has been used for the reproductive health. There is a lot of, I think, eating habits, and we call this as viruddhahar, which means conflicting food. If you mix milk and non-vegetarian food, it's obviously going to create a lot of acidity and your bloodstream, which goes into various parts of your reproductive system. So I think just following what, if you ask me in simple terms, Priya, what our nanis and dadis followed, and back to our roots, I think that's where there is a lot of hidden magic. And through all of our endeavors that we are doing to bring back some of those golden rules back to mainstream, I think will.
Which is true, because a lot of us are now, saying ghee is not such a bad thing.
So I want to add on something to this, Priyaji. All the working women who are watching this show, recently we had one survey with Indian police officers, women in uniform. So working women, especially all the working women, they have a very less intake of water. They purposely take less water.
Very good point.
Because they know that they have to go for
Access
loo,
to loos.
right? And now in our Indian system, especially the government Indian system, all the toilets were made in keeping in mind men's viewpoint. So you go to any office, you will not find a toilets there in keeping in mind women's perspective. Even in the private sector also. So we are advocating towards personal toilets for women, number one. Please take more and more water, because that's something, very, very important for you. And, as madam said rightly, whenever you are going to washroom, you need to have a lot of water there also. Use public washroom, but with very care. But please don't avoid water, because if you will avoid water, then this might create a lot of problem.
I think that's very well said, and a very basic and a very good point. In fact, we had a show with politicians also who were saying that before a rally, we don't have water, women politicians, because pata nahi kahan ja payenge. So this is an issue which is, but I've noticed a lot of, couple of washrooms maybe in the city now have sanitizers for the toilet seats, because they've also realized that you have to take care of the women's needs also. But thank you for this conversation. It's been very educational. I've learned a lot, and I hope so have you. So we'll see you again same time next week. But in the meantime, take care, stay safe and be healthy.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.